In 1985, radio stations refused to play this ballad about infidelity. 46 superstars recorded one song that changed music forever, and 13 more number ones that stopped the world, starting at number 15. Number 15, Like a Virgin, Madonna. Like a Virgin was written by a divorced man about feeling renewed by new love. 1984, songwriter Billy Steinberg had just gone through a painful divorce. He wrote the lyrics from his side about fresh starts. Radio executives loved the melody but worried about the title. MTV threatened not to play it. Radio stations called it too sexual. Even Madonna questioned if it was career suicide. Producer Nile Rodgers pushed her to own it. He added chic-style funk to soften the controversy. The record company wanted her to change the title. She refused. Madonna wore a wedding dress to the 1984 VMAs. The performance made the controversy her strength. Topped charts for 6 weeks starting January. Album sold 21 million worldwide. The performance became legendary. The controversy made her a household name. Quick question. How many of these can you name from just the first 5 seconds? Time can never name. Number 14, Careless Whisper, Wham. George Michael wrote Careless Whisper at 17 while riding a bus to his restaurant job. 1981, Michael worked as a busboy. The entire melody came to him during his commute. He rushed home and sang it into a tape recorder. Critics didn't believe a teenager wrote it. They made him audition saxophonists to prove it was real. 10 saxophone players tried the riff. 9 played it wrong. Michael knew exactly what he wanted but couldn't explain it. The 10th player, Steve Gregory, nailed it in one take. That sax line was what Michael heard on the bus. Gregory made his head melody real. Tonight the music seems so loud. I wish that we could. Shot to number 1 for 3 weeks in February, sold over 6 million copies. He recorded a demo at work, got fired for singing too loud.
There comes a time when we heed a certain call.
Number 13, We Are the World, USA for Africa. Quincy Jones had one night to record 46 superstars. Chaos was inevitable. March 7th, 1985, A&M Studios. USA for Africa gathered to record We Are the World for famine relief. Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie had written it in one night.
Pretending day by day that someone
Prince didn't show up. Rumored tension with Jackson. Bob Dylan couldn't find his key, kept stopping takes. Stevie Wonder threatened to leave if they added Swahili lyrics. Cyndi Lauper made jokes during serious moments. By midnight, Jones was losing control. Egos were colliding. Time was running out. Jones put up a sign, "Check your egos at the door." Then he called Ray Charles to settle things down. Charles's presence silenced every argument. One final take in the early morning hours. Perfect. Hit number 1 for 4 weeks. Raised $63 million. Jackson told Jones afterward, "You conducted chaos into harmony. That's why you're Quincy."
Won't you come see about me? I'll be alone.
Number 12, Don't You Forget About Me, Simple Minds. Simple Minds heard Don't You Forget About Me and said no immediately. In early 1985, songwriter Keith Forsey offered it to them for the Breakfast Club soundtrack. Frontman Jim Kerr thought it was too simple, too commercial.
You stand above me, look my way.
The band walked out. Forsey offered it to Brian Ferry next. Ferry said no too. The label kept pushing. Simple Minds said it didn't fit their style. Finally, they gave in. One session, still not believing in it. Director John Hughes used it in the Breakfast Club trailer. MTV started playing clips. Teenagers called radio stations asking for the full song.
Won't you call my name when you walk?
Climbed to number 1 for a week in May. Became their only US chart topper. Kerr admitted years later that simple song saved our career in America.
A little time to think things over.
Number 11, I Want to Know What Love Is, Foreigner. Mick Jones woke up at 3 a.m. with a melody he couldn't shake. Winter 1984, Foreigner's guitarist sat up in bed, grabbed a cassette recorder. He'd been through several failed relationships. This time, he wanted to write about not knowing what love was.
I can't stop now. I've traveled so far.
He played the demo for the band. Some thought it was too soft for a rock group. Jones wanted something bigger. He pushed for a gospel choir to elevate the emotion. The New Jersey Mass Choir brought the sound he heard in his head that night. When those gospel voices came in during the final chorus, everyone in the studio got chills. They knew they had something special. Reached #1 in February, top charts in multiple countries, nearly 4 million copies sold. Jones said later, "I wrote that melody half asleep. It's still our most requested song."
Welcome to your life. There's no
Number 10. Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Tears for Fears. Tears for Fears wrote a song called Everybody Wants to Go to War. Radio would never play it. 1984, Roland Orzabal wrote it on acoustic guitar. The original title was too direct, too political.
We will find you acting on your best behavior.
Radio programmers said the war reference would get it banned. Orzabal argued the song was anti-war, not pro-war. They didn't care. Any mention of war in the title would get it skipped. Orzabal changed one word at the last minute. War became rule. Same meaning, safer packaging. The softer title made radio comfortable. The message stayed exactly the same. Top charts for 2 weeks in June, became their biggest American hit. The title change was last minute. Same protest message, safer packaging for radio. The first 5 songs were incredible, but wait till #1, the blue-eyed soul cover that outsold the original by millions. First, the story behind number 9.
I've been trying for so long.
Number 9, One More Night. Phil Collins. Phil Collins wrote One More Night at 2 a.m. after his wife walked out. Early 1984, his first marriage to Andrea Bertorelli was falling apart. He'd been on tour constantly. She'd had enough.
One more night, oh, just one more night.
Collins locked himself in his home studio. Divorce papers sat on his desk. He started playing a drum pattern, then added keys. Producer Hugh Padgham told him to strip everything down, make it sparse. Collins resisted at first. He wanted to fill the silence with sound. Padgham said, "No, the emptiness is the point." They recorded it with minimal instruments. The space between notes carried more emotion than any guitar solo could.
And maybe we both can love.
Spent 2 weeks at #1 in March. His second straight chart topper from the album. The album No Jacket Required went 12 times platinum. This sparse track was the emotional heart.
There's a girl that's been on my mind.
Number 8. Sussudio, Phil Collins. Phil Collins made up a word while playing drums. It became a #1 hit. 1984, Collins was jamming with a drum machine, improvising vocals. Sussudio popped out. He meant to replace it later.
Feels so good if I just say the word.
Producer Hugh Padgham told him to keep the nonsense word. Collins resisted at first. He spent weeks trying to write real lyrics. Nothing fit the melody as well. The record company wanted the single released. Collins still didn't have better words. Padgham played him the original demo. Collins heard it fresh. The made-up word had energy real words couldn't match. Hit #1 for a week in July. 4th single from the album to chart. The album went 12 times platinum. This playful track showed his fun side.
Swaying room as the music starts.
Number 7. Crazy for You, Madonna. Madonna almost didn't record Crazy for You. She was too busy touring. Early 1985, John Bettis and John Lind wrote it for the Vision Quest soundtrack. They offered it to another artist first.
I'm crazy for you, and you know it's true.
That artist passed. Madonna was in the middle of her Virgin tour. The film studio needed her in the recording studio immediately. Madonna said she didn't have time. The film's release date wouldn't wait. They flew her to New York between shows. She had 1 day to record it. She walked in, exhausted from the stage. Producer John Benitez used lush synths and acoustic guitar. The tender, breathy vocal showcased her range.
Easy for you.
Reached #1 for a week in May, her first ballad to top the charts. The soundtrack went gold. Madonna proved she wasn't just dance pop.
Let it all out. These are the things I can do.
Number 6. Shout, Tears for Fears. Everyone thinks Shout is about primal scream therapy. They're wrong. 1984, Tears for Fears' Roland Orzabal kept reading interviews where journalists called his music therapeutic screaming. He got tired of people getting it wrong.
Let it all out. These are the things I can do.
The song was actually about political and emotional repression, not therapy. But the label loved the therapy angle for marketing. They pushed him to lean into it. Radio DJs introduced it as healing music. Orzabal tried correcting them in interviews. Nobody listened. Producer Chris Hughes told him to let it go. The misunderstanding was helping sales. Orzabal stopped fighting it. He realized people needed whatever meaning they found in it.
Let it all out. These are the things I can do.
Shot to #1 for 3 weeks in August. 5 million copies sold. Album went 5 times platinum. Orzabal stopped correcting people. The song meant what fans needed it to mean.
Well, I can't fight this feeling any longer.
Number 5. Can't Fight This Feeling, REO Speedwagon. Kevin Cronin wrote Can't Fight This Feeling about a friend who was engaged to someone else. 1984, Cronin had been in love with her for years. She was about to marry another man.
Candle in the window on a cold, dark winter's night.
He knew he had to tell her or lose her forever. The band worried writing the song was risky. If she stayed with her fiancé, the friendship was over. If she chose Kevin, he'd destroyed her engagement. He wrote it anyway, played it for her, she called off the wedding, she left her fiancé, they ended up together. The song that started it became a hit.
And even as I wonder, I'm keeping you in
Spent
sight.
3 weeks at the top in March, the band's first and only #1. Cronin's Real Story became millions of couples' anthem.
It's in you. Live a view.
Number 4. A View to a Kill, Duran Duran. Duran Duran met composer John Barry at a party. That accident made Bond history. Early 1985, bassist John Taylor ran into Barry, who scored every James Bond film. Barry mentioned needing a theme for A View to a Kill. The band had never written for film. Barry's orchestra style clashed with their synth-pop sound. Studio sessions got tense. Barry pushed for dramatic strings. Duran Duran wanted electronic beats. They couldn't find middle ground. The deadline was days away. The final mix layered orchestra under synths. The combination created the signature Bond sound with an 80s edge. Climbed to #1 for 2 weeks in July. First Bond theme to top US charts. Still the only Bond song to reach #1 in America.
Oh, thinking about all our younger years.
Number 3. Heaven, Bryan Adams. Bryan Adams wrote Heaven for a movie soundtrack. It almost never made his album. 1983, Adams and Jim Vallance wrote it quickly for A Night in Heaven. The film flopped hard.
When you're lying here in my arms, I'm finding it hard.
Critics said the song was too tied to a failed movie. Adams fought to include it on Reckless anyway. He knew it worked on its own. The label finally agreed but refused to make it a single. Radio DJs started playing the album version. Listener requests flooded in. The label had no choice. They released it as the 4th single. It was already a hit.
I've been waiting for so long for something.
Hit Number 1 for 2 weeks in June, pushed Reckless past 12 million sales. The failed movie couldn't kill a song this strong. Heaven found its moment anyway. Number 2, Everything She Wants, Wham. George Michael wrote Everything She Wants about a man trapped by money and marriage. 1984, Michael watched a friend's marriage fall apart over financial pressure. The friend felt used, stuck. Michael wrote lyrics darker than Wham's usual pop sound. The band debated whether it fit their fun image. Andrew Ridgeley worried about the negative tone. Radio consultants said the funk groove was too complex for pop stations. Michael refused to simplify it. The song said what he needed to say. The Make It Big album needed a serious track. This was it. Topped charts for 2 weeks in May. Third number 1 from the album. The song showed Michael's songwriting went deeper than Wham's pop image.
If we can solve any problem, well, why do we?
Number 1, Every Time You Go Away, Paul Young. Paul Young picked a Daryl Hall song nobody thought he could improve. 1985, the British singer needed a hit for his second album. He heard Every Time You Go Away buried on a Hall & Oates record.
You take a piece of me.
Paul himself never released it as a single. Radio consultants worried it was too soft. Young's producer wanted something more upbeat. Young insisted on the ballad style. They brought in bassist Pino Palladino to add soulful depth Hall's version never had. Young stripped it down to pure emotion. The bass line became the song's heartbeat.
I wanna be sick, that I can't stand it. I know more than
Reached number 1 for a week in July. Outsold the original by millions. Young's version became the main recording everyone remembers. It outsold Hall's original by millions. So that's the journey through 1985, the year that stopped the world. If these songs brought back your high school dances, your first car, your first love, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want more trips down memory lane every week. We're diving into 1984 next Tuesday. Which song surprised you the most? Which one brought back the strongest memory? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. Thanks for taking this musical journey with me. See you in the next countdown.